Ujumbe kuhusu virusi vya HIV umeletwa kwako na shirika la mpango wa chakula duniani WFP kwa ushirikiano wa Wizara ya Afya kaunti ya Turkana. Virusi vya HIV vinaweza sambazwa kutoka kwa mtu aliyeambukizwa kupitia damu, maji yanayotokea kwa uume au uke na maziwa ya mama. Ukimwi au ambukizi kupitia kukumbatiana, kusalimiana, kuumwa na umbu au inzi, kubusu, kutumia choo pamoja, chakula, kinywaji, kuogelea, kucheza na kukohoa. Ukimwi unaweza sambazwa kutoka kwa mama hadi kwa mtoto wakati wa ujauzito wake au akiumana anapojifungua na kumnyonyesha mtoto.
The youth in Kenya remains a significant number of portion of people within our country, making to up to 60% of our population in Kenya. Being one of the largest groups, youth are also affected by HIV, and that being in play, our youths are at risk of actually the spread of HIV because of many factors. One of them, some youth get HIV during birth, what otherwise called perinatal. During the labor period, some of them get transmitted with HIV. Others get it during by breastfeeding. If there's poor breastfeeding practices, usually mothers can transmit HIV to young people who can grow at the level of teenagers and having the HIV. So that's also another factor. Another one is the risky behaviors of these young people. For example, as the teenagers grow, usually during the adolescent stage, they develop affinity for sex, and so they, out of that social behavior, they end up transmitting to each other by indulging in the teenage sexual behavior. So that is also another stage where the youth can easily get transmitted with HIV. The other one is the youth who are indulging in the drug and substance. For example, alcoholism, the bank, cocaine, mirror. During those periods, for some reason, because of those drug addiction, they also indulge themselves, but they end up getting the HIV during those events. So what we are really saying that the young people or the youth are a group who are at risk of getting HIV. And so now, that said and done, it's also important for us to recognize the fact that because these youths have HIV, because these youths are at risk of getting HIV, so now when they get HIV, what will happen? So really, when we'll look at the spectrum of management of patients, youth included, of HIV. One, there is actually pharmacological management, that is the use of drugs. There is significantly important aspect, what we call psychosocial support, which means counseling, and which is also important for these young people. Thirdly, the nutrition aspect, which is actually the subject we really need to indulge in very much. And we are saying that for actually these young people to do well in treatment, there is need to emphasize or also first start with counseling them on the good nutritional practices. Why? Because as one gets HIV, usually there is actually weakening of immune system. And once the immune system weakens, really what happens is that the body is not able to defend itself. So one way of improving the immunity system is through the nutritional support. So that's why we really emphasize that the young people should actually be encouraged or even guided on how to actually to use a balanced diet, a good nutrition, because it's one way of improving their treatment. So once they are in balanced diet, that means protein, carbohydrates, vitamins, fats, and of course exercises. These will go along in ensuring that nutritionally these young people will be strong, including vitamins. They are strong, their immunity is strong, their immunity is sustained. So for young people to improve, they need to actually to be encouraged to be in good to adapt good nutritional practices. So really, this is what we emphasize to the young people, that always balanced diet when they have HIV. Always ensure that because proteins actually give us the builds actually the body, and then carbohydrates give us energy. The vitamins give us the immunity, improves our immunity. So it means when the food is balanced significantly, it means that the outcome of the treatment of that youth will be good, because it's in good balanced diet. So that's why it's important we emphasize that nutrition is key in management of HIV among the young people or the youth. So that is our emphasis, that the young people should actually be in balanced diet. They should actually exercise. They should actually take a lot of water. They should also use their drugs as prescribed, and of course be counseled, be supported through counseling, so that they encourage always to be on their treatment. So that is our technical advice on the same.
Because of HIV itself, but also with the medication that the patients take because of the HIV, there are several nutrition-related illnesses or diseases that may present in a person. One is diarrhea. It may come on board just because of the disease itself. Especially during the initial times, it may be minor, but in the late stages, you may have persistent diarrhea. And also, because of a medication that you may be taking, it may also present with side effects of diarrhea. So with good nutrition and timely identification, it will be able to help the patient cope up and continue with the medication. Another condition is anorexia, or rather loss of appetite, either because of an underlying infection that may present due to low immunity. Then the person may lose appetite, and this will reduce intake. In the process, the patient is likely to lose weight, more weight, and this may even further affect the immunity, or rather reduce the immunity. Another issue is fever. Fever can either present in the last stages as part of the disease itself, or it may present as a result of an underlying infection, opportunistic infection. So with fever, you are losing more water, and even more energy is needed. So if you are taking less, then you are likely to lose more weight. You are even likely to be more dehydrated. So patients need to be more cautious when they have fevers. Another illness is nausea. Nausea is feeling like vomiting, and you may, after having the nausea, you may present with actually vomiting. It may be because of the drug that you are taking that is causing the nausea, or an underlying infection or opportunistic infection that is causing the nausea itself. So with good nutrition, and the person is likely to cope well with both the medication, even in terms of managing the opportunistic infection. Another issue is anemia. Anemia can either be caused by the drug. There are those drugs that are being taken, but they also have side effects of causing the anemia itself, like the zidovudine. So when the patient is on such a medicine, they need to be closely monitored, just to be able to identify on time if this drug is already causing anemia on the patient, and the drug needs to be changed. There also, even the process of managing the disease, the patient may also get anemia due to low intake of foods rich in iron, and also other parasites like hookworm. So you need to be on timely, time after time, do some deworming, and also treat infections like malaria on time, just to be able to prevent anemia. One, we need to look at dietary diversity, just to be able to make sure that you diversify your diet. You don't like eat same food from the same food group every day. And also you need to do your monthly weight monitoring, just to be able to see if you are losing weight or you are gaining weight. Is it getting out of hand, or it's something that can be managed? It's also, you'll be able to on timely know side effects of the drug like lipodystrophy, to be on time in terms of changing the drug to avoid further side effects. Issues of food safety and hygiene practices, in terms of properly cook your food. For animal products, just make sure that you cook them thoroughly. Utensils that you use to like prepare the animal products, make sure you clean them thoroughly to be able to prevent those food contaminations. Other things you need to look at is physical activities. Try as much as possible to do some physical exercises. Seek medical attention anytime you have any opportunistic infection. When you are down with an illness, when you are recovering, kindly make sure you catch up with what you lost. Make sure you take more, so that you are able to gain any weight that was lost. It's also good to be just together with other people, be on psychosocial support, to be able to cope with any challenges that you are facing during this time. Eating small but frequent means, sometimes you may find yourself, if you take, let's say, like 40 foods, you are likely to have something called satiety, and you feel full and you are not able to eat your next meal. So you are advised to take at least foods that are not fatty. That is one. Two, also you are able to meet your nutrient needs by eating small but dense food, but in increased frequency, so that you are able to meet the entire caloric need for the day. By the end of the day, you will be able to, if you are in need of gaining weight or maintaining your weight, you are able to meet what you need for the entire day to achieve what you want. When you have HIV/AIDS, you need to be able to do like a meal planning, that you're able to plan well, so that you're able to cope with any drug food reaction that may occur. That is one. Two, you're also able to just look at a diversified food when you are doing your budget, and in the process you are able to identify foods that are high in nutrients, that the energy dense, food that is able to meet at least every person's need in that household. And in the process of your meal planning, you can on timely be able to identify foods that you are able to make with ease. You don't need to use a lot of fuel. As per your time you have, are you able to cook it and make it cook thoroughly before you present it on the table? In the process, you're also able to do your costing very well, so that you don't do like over budgeting or having a lot of waste when you are doing your budgeting and even food preparation. And in the process you save more, and also you are able to take what is of quality when being presented at the table. Food-based approach is looking at usually when an emergency occurs, or let's say even like in COVID or even in dry seasons. The most affected households are usually people living with HIV. And why? Because when their body needs more and people are now having coping strategies to be able to survive, then they go further to damage their immunity instead of having a normal coping strategy. So that's why food-based approach is very important, to be able to look at how best do we support these households to be able to have or identify within their household people who need that support to get extra meals when the need is on time, before they lose more of their weight, even when it is dry season. Food-based approach, it is able to help support with the link of community health extension workers. They're able to identify households that are having people living with HIV, and they're able to support them to come up with strategies to support these families to be able to back up this person who is sick with HIV to get extra meals even in terms of dry seasons. Positive living is one way of coping with HIV. When you live positively, you are able to face life positively. You are able to have, even in terms of your sex and reproductive system, you are able to be able to protect others. In the process, you are also able to protect yourself. Two, you are also able to keep your appointments. You are able to seek, treatment on times in terms of you having any opportunistic infection. And so I would tell somebody, try to look at life positively, do exercises, keep your appointments, do your monthly weight monitoring, and practice dietary diversity, depending with where you're coming from. But I would rather look at a person who is in a rural place. What they can get, I'm looking at breakfast. Probably you've gotten a cup of porridge, and this cup of porridge probably you've gotten with even if it is githeri. But it's good when you have your githeri, can you have a vegetable or a fruit next to it, so that you're able to have something that is balanced or diversified. Then at 10, if you can be able to get even a fruit, any fruit, you're able to cope with the 10 o'clock gap. Then if you're not able to get a fruit or a cup of milk, you are good to go. At 1, you are looking at what you get from your protein. Protein, it can be, like in our setting, mostly it is meat. With nangaria, that is our ugali, and a vegetable, if it is a cabbage, or a cowpeas, that is usually common. People are able to have them in their kitchen gardens. And from there, now you have your protein, your carbohydrates, your minerals and vitamins. Make sure you have your glass of water. And at 4, you can have a cup of porridge. Then your supper, you can have even beans and rice and a vegetable or a fruit to cover the day. But always make sure you take at least 8 glasses of water to cover the whole day. In dry places, you can even go up to 12 glasses, but make sure you are not dehydrated. Walk with water when you are walking on a sandy area.
Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na shirika la mpango wa chakula duniani WFP kwa ushirikiano wa Wizara ya Afya kaunti ya Turkana.